Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and with our mission complete, we can now return to the Simpsons hit and run commentary where, yes, we have finally uncovered the secret of the evil cola. Yes, Buzz Cola was in fact responsible for Bart's brainwashing, and it seems that something a little bit more sinister is going on now. But in the meantime, we're still Marge and her criminal fatigue, so let's go around and collect some coins and finally elucidating some trivia I had all the way back in part 1. Namely that the coin sound effects in this game also share similar sound effects seen in Crash Tag Team Racing, which was a similar game developed by Radical Entertainment. A little bit more racing focused, obviously, but it does share a fair few similarities to The Simpsons in that does share a fair few similarities to Hit and Run. Namely, collecting coins, obviously, the running around the hub world, collecting pointless stuff, running around destroying the bees and, all the collectible cards, I guess, could be considered the dioramas for tag team racing. Yeah. I don't know, you just sort of tend to notice the stuff when you pick stuff up and hear familiar sound design. And it also just kind of goes to show, how many projects Radical Entertainment really had their hands in. All in the same breath, you can pretty much name, The Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction, Prototype, Jackie Chan Stuntmaster, Simpsons Hit and Run, I think they developed one of, the Mario's Time Machine games? Or maybe it was Mario Was Missing? Or one of the two, but again, even if not necessarily good, you'd still remember them, so... Yeah, Radical Entertainment, they had their hands in a fair few nice projects, which is kind of a shame that nowadays they kind of don't really exist anymore. Well, they don't exist anymore, actually. They were liquidated in, I think it was late 2009? Actually, yeah, even in that same breath, Crash Tag Team Racing, Crash of the Titans, Mon of a Mutant. Oh, that's sad.
Bart, do you recognize this design? That's the alien mind control cola. They gave us tons of that up in the alien spaceship. They're using it to make the town go crazy. Oh, thank God, you snapped out of your trance. I was so worried. Later, I'm going to the arcade. This conspiracy goes all the way to the top. I need a little extra firepower as Officer Marge.
So yeah, that's pretty much where the whole thing would pretty much suit you to get changed, which is also conveniently in Bart's room. Kind of fitting. And also Bart himself just going, well, I could do something and help destroy the evil Buzz Cola that fudged up my brain, but fuck it, I'm going to the arcades. Which also show the age of this game, because a lot of arcades no longer exist. I guess maybe some do novelty places like, Dave & Buster's or a Barcade or whatever, but yeah, not really as standalone places, which kind of show the age of this game a little bit. But anyway, what you want to be doing in this mission is basically just running all about town, collecting colas, and putting an end to the cola wars. Springfield is a Pepsi town now. But yeah, it's also playing the, we got to capture the monkey music from the Dr. Nick mission. So yeah, that's about as exciting as things get around here. But anyway, now that Marge has a goal in mind, it's pretty much taking out all the Buzz Cola related things, which also does tie into our next mission, so at long last we finally have more to go on apart from, I wonder what's going on around town. It's kind of bizarrely paced how the game kind of takes its time to really get us to this point, but you know what, better late than never, I suppose. Yeah, let's do the Mamba and get some trivia as we play through the game. And I might as well bring up this little tidbit, actually, in terms of something that Radical Entertainment like to do as they were developing the game. Again, you don't technically fight anybody in Hit and Run, but one thing you can do is kick civilians, and one of the things that Radical Entertainment loved to do was have Homer kick Marge down the street. Now, again, when Matt Groening was going off to, check the game out, because obviously he is still pretty much the head honcho behind The Simpsons. Even in 2003, which I think by this point he was well into Futurama, but that's neither here nor there in this case. Anyway, he was warned by, his executives or Fox or whatever, to absolutely under no circumstance show, Homer kicking Marge down the street. So when Matt Groening first got to playing the game, what was the first thing he did? He kicked Marge down the street and laughed about it. Oh, Matt Groening, however your name is pronounced, you cheeky bastard. You Brat Simpson in the real life, presumably, as I believe the Simpsons were loosely based on his family growing up. Well, at the very least his father's name being Homer and his mother having a beehive hairdo at one point. Yeah, well. Anyway, it's racing time. Oh yeah.
Millhouse, what are you doing here? Patty and Selma trapped me.
Oh dear. Poor Thrillho. Stuck in debt slavery. Everything's coming up Millhouse.
Get yourself a new car or something.
Poor Thrillho. In every timeline he is but screwed. But still somehow ends up with Lisa for reasons that are completely unknown to me. But anyway, here's a pretty funny line, so I'll let you listen to Millhouse's suffering.
The car fumes are making me dizzy. Whoa. Oh.
Just do it.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah, children's suffering gets me so hard. Well, what? I mean, yeah, anyway, to talk about the circuit race with Marge, again, it's pretty much setting itself around Mr. Burns' house, so just drive around on a circuit, and you've pretty much completed the thing. It's really nothing to worry about, apart from, like, the giant chess piece hazards that they've... Oh, no, wait, they didn't remove them. Well, never mind, you just don't get coins for knocking them over. Well, I mean, not really, because they pretty much disable the hit and run meter while you're doing the races, because it wouldn't make... Actually, no, it would make sense for cops to stop this, because, I mean, this is technically a street race, so... Yeah, I mean, if your LA Noir knowledge is anything to go by, you'd pretty much put a stop to it. But as I showed him, I burned his fucking car. Because, you know, that's just how you reclaim your honor in the street race business. You call me an asshole and hit on me, I steal your car. But anyway, any more trivia that I can expunge as we go around and round the mulberry bush? Yeah, a hit-and-run sequel was actually planned and in development at the time, shortly after this game came out, and it likely would have happened if it wasn't for the fact that EA acquired the Simpsons IP in terms of future video games, and thus a Hit-and-Run 2 was cancelled. I mean, we did technically get the Simpsons game out of the whole ordeal, so again, not a total loss, but I don't know, it was kind of, after like 2007, early 2010s, that was kind of around about the point when, you know, getting some actual decent licensed games kind of dried up for most companies, and as such, we never really got anything interesting again apart from... No, I mean, it's weird, the only other Simpsons game I can really recall was like The Simpsons Tapped Out, which was like this iOS mobile thing, which is pretty much where most IP-relegated franchises usually tend to go when it comes to licensing out video games, so... Yeah, that's a little bit balls. We lost out on a potential hit-and-run too, and I think even under different publishers, if EA technically had the Simpsons licensing, couldn't they publish the hit-and-run sequel, or are those rights also tied up with Vivendi Universal / Activision / you know, whatever else really?
Did I win?
Because, I mean, I can't imagine they probably would have been able to get away with it, because, I mean, it's technically owned by... Well, okay, as of right now, it's technically owned by Disney, but it was still technically owned by Fox beforehand, and Matt Groening himself, so... Couldn't they technically pull some strings here? I don't know. I mean, again, it is also quite weird saying this, because, like, I mean, in terms of trying to get a Simpsons hit-and-run sequel, or, I mean, even a port of the original or a remaster or whatever, like we've seen from fans and whatever else, I mean, we do technically have people within the industry who are supporting to get a remake. I mean, former employees of Radical Entertainment, we have Simpsons writer Matt Selman, as I believe I mentioned earlier. So again, we do technically have people that, you know, want to see games like this get a re-release. It's just a factor of, well, officials just wanting to relent and make it happen, which I'm surprised they don't, because, again, it's been, like, 10 to 11 years since this game last saw release. The nostalgia cycle, she be biting pretty hard for this game, and a lot of people do have fond memories of it. Well, unless your name happens to be Tactical Bacon Productions, but that's neither here nor there in this case. So, yeah, it kind of seems like a situation where, like, it's just like, oh, well, fuck it, I mean, I literally do not want to have all of the money. You know, I have a big enough mansion, you know, my rocket car that once belonged to Chester A. Bomb, and my millions of dollars worth of cocaine. I am set for life. I need no more money. I shan't give it to charity so I can have people pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Can you guess what game I was playing? It was Arkham Origins for that terrible radio message.
I won? I'm sorry.
Sweet forward momentum.
I'm scared and disoriented. Little Ralphie Wiggum, how are you? Candy makes me happy, then tired. So, what are you doing here? Two ugly monsters named Patty and Selma say you have to race.
I swear to God though, like, I mean, I don't know who Nancy Cartwright's favourite character to voice in The Simpsons is, but Ralph Wiggum must be one of the most fun to do just for the fact of... I mean, well, at the very least in recent episodes, well, not recent episodes, and this was done as early as the Golden Age, where Ralph is pretty much a punchline generator. I don't know, it just seems like a really fun character to voice, and, yeah, it's pretty cool like that. Anyway, if you could probably tell from the previous race, and indeed this one, yeah, our next character that we're going to be controlling is, rather bizarrely, Opuna Hasapima Pedalon. I'll save a lot of my thoughts on that for next time, but, yeah, a bit of an odd choice of character, but... well, that's the punches we're given. Anyway, do we have any more trivia to while away the wee hours? No, we do not. I could technically talk about the development cycle, but that's, I'll save that a bit for next time. The terrible, terrible, tumultuous development cycle. Yes, thank goodness for seatbelts. Saving lives, although not really... Well, not really doing much to save anybody, really, if you're going at a fast enough speed. I mean, if you know how velocity and impacts work, then, yeah, it doesn't matter what kind of seatbelt you have, your body, she is going to be turned into grape juice, and your bones are going to be sticking through the flesh rather deliciously. You know what? It's actually quite frightening how fragile the human body is, so, drive safely, everybody. Don't copy what you're seeing on the screen. You will not live to tell the tale. Take that, comic book nerd.
Mr. Guy, what are you doing here?
Well, I've been trying to convince Agnes to come make fun of school children, but she refuses to go out with me. That son of hers keeps intercepting every gift I send her and hides them at his workplace. He's a jerk and a fool.
Why not just go get them back?
I would, but... well, I'm not a terribly mobile person. There, I said it.
Oh, I know. It's not easy being husky. Tell you what, I'll take care of this for you if you help me take care of some things.
By the moons of Xanthor, it is a pact. The bond is made. The agreement is sacred under the vows of the knights who say...
Okay, I get it. Sheesh.
Yes, well, I believe this is a reference to a certain episode where a comic book guy was dating Agnes Skinner, Skinner's mother, and it was one of the, rather strangest episodes ever. Due to note, it is not a very good episode, but average and subpar. I am tempted to record the rest of the part in this voice, because it is quite addictive to talk that way. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not going to do that for the entire part, but, yeah, it's pretty much just paying homage to that one episode where a comic book guy pretty much had a heart attack, and then he had Bart and Milhouse run his store, and yeah, they pretty much fucked everything over until a comic book guy was dating Agnes Skinner for some reason as a bit of a B-plot. Why, I have no idea. It was a bit of a bizarro episode, but it did have Tom Savini in it, so, it was saved by its guest cast. Anyway, I don't think any of the gifts really have any specific tells to them in terms of references to the series. Like, I mean, you're not going to be seeing like a Radioactive Man comic book or anything, or any other specific item that they would have had to have modeled, so it's just kind of just collect some stuff and... Oh no wait, they did model it. Never mind. So, fuck it really. Let's see. Any comic book guy moments that I can mull over to pass the time? Well, I mean, there is one moment that does certainly get me, and was from a Treehouse of Horror episode, actually, which I think was the Omega Man, where they pretty much paid parody to, well, the Omega Man. Yeah, again, it was pretty much where France declared nuclear war on Springfield, and, yes, they took aim and launched a nuclear bomb, and it was headed straight for comic book guy, and it was like, oh, I wasted my life. Which is exactly how I would feel if I was... Well, actually, I mean, technically speaking, it's probably better to be dead set in the middle of a nuclear explosion, because at least you'll be atomized quickly and not suffer the horrendous dying pains of radiation sickness, you know, vomiting, hair loss, burning to death, you know, extreme, excruciating pain, a death of like 4 to 6 weeks if you get a high dose, and, again, even if you do survive that, cataracts, you know, aging illness, and, all the wonderful things that you'll see if you've ever watched the movie Threads. Watch it. It's a wonderful movie. If you feel like crying yourself to fucking sleep. Wow, I'm very negative this evening. I don't know, it must be the, Ayer at Dusk, turning me into Ayer at JFK, or Ayer at Jaimin Quimby? Diamond? Whatever the fuck his name is. Hey, I warn you, I am no longer Ayer illiterate. Anyway, that's the end of the mission. Fuck off.
Well, that That's done like laundry.
Thank you very much. Now I can see my beloveds sneer again. Here's my number. Give me a call if you want to hear my theories on why Krusty has jumped the shark. Good day.
Marge in charge. Apu, I think you should be aware that you're selling a tainted cola. Where's this stuff coming from?
Well, there is little here not tainted in some way. Even the astrology scrolls give poor advice. But I will get to the bottom of this.
Well, it made Bart go crazy. And if I find the distributor, I'm gonna give them a piece of my mind.
Careful, Mrs. Simpson. This cola makes people do irrational things without guilt. It is as though they have bottled the effects of a raging frat kegger.
That's it. I'm going after it. And any other evil cola trucks I can find.
Yes. From outer space. Ooh. But yeah, now we return to our final mission where we're pretty much stopping any and all Buzz Cola trucks from delivering to suppliers. This is a one-woman mission to save the world. And yeah, it's also a mission where a lot of people tend to get stuck on from my eyes. I don't know, I guess it, I guess maybe people tend to go for like the direct sort of bash up with your car, but okay, this, it's not gonna be really technical knowledge here, since, again, with a car you only really have like a few ways of damaging, you know, other cars without causing significant damage to your own, but yeah, the way in which to defeat the Buzz Cola trucks, which, surprisingly, when you get to drive them yourselves, are actually one of the weakest cars in the game. Yeah, what you want to do is that you kind of want to pull into a similar technique that a lot of police tend to use during actual car chases, where you basically, you want to get in behind their rear axle, and sort of like veer them off into the side so they either crash into something or they, you know, just come to a complete stop. There is a more technical maneuver to this in terms of how police officers handle car chases. They pretty much get an entire squad around them and, you know, basically sort of force the criminal to stop that way with, you know, 4 officer-bodied cars in the way, but yeah, I mean, in this case, you're pretty much just wanting to direct the Buzz Cola trucks into wars and, you know, making sure they pretty much do damage to themselves, make sure that there's a wrench nearby so you can repair your car, and squad-a-la, you can pretty much take them out no problem. So yeah, the biggest bit of advice I can give you is just to, you know, use the Sidewinder Fang, veer them into stuff and watch them explode. Although really, I mean, like, given who's behind all this, are there government agents driving these, or are they people under the hypnotic power of Buzz Cola? Which, I mean, again, as the game did state, there was the thing that's starting to make people go a little bit crazy, like they ain't taking their drugs for a while. Well, I mean, given what's inside the cola, it might be better than drugs. And a lot of this is just starting to read like conspiracy theory garbage, like oh man, there's a lot of drugs in the sody pops and the toothpaste and the television rays. So kill your TV, man. But yeah, it's also a case where the mission timer is quite generous, provided that you can destroy the Buzz Cola trucks in, you know, quick succession. But yeah, it is generous enough to at least give you, you know, multiple timed checkpoints in order to destroy the trucks, and then in between getting there and back to Evergreen Terrace. And yeah, that's pretty much where Marge's mission ends in the game. I guess she sort of assumes that she's pretty much finished everything else, so yeah, but I mean, there's still downtown Springfield, not to mention all the realtors that still have Buzz Cola supplies already there, so it's kind of shocking that she doesn't technically tend to do more, but I suppose maybe that's where the connectivity between Marge's last mission and Apu's first mission in the next part of the game is meant to sort of tie together, but even still, that's a very, I don't know, it's a very loose connection. Must be the non-stop sitting and snacking. Well. Anyway, I'm just jamming to the soundtrack, which is still excellent as hell. Seriously, I don't know who composed the soundtrack, but my god, they fucking nailed the Simpsons atmosphere, no matter what genre they picked. Like, I mean, again, regardless of whether they go for, like, you know, rock, jazz, or anything else, it is actually really fucking good. So, again, if nothing else, even if you can't play the game, you can at least listen to the soundtrack, and by god, it is some great stuff. I highly recommend you look it up. Well, I mean, I do technically play a little bit of it at the end of the video, so, yeah, got all my bases covered, and yeah, we also get like a brief little chase scene at the end of this little part here, because there's a Chief Wiggum. He is a fat man who has been drinking the cola. And yeah, he's gonna take a bit of umbrage with Marge taking away his caffeinated, sugary drinks. I know this because I would be the same way. Well, I mean, other than that, if somebody took away my beer, which, you know, without that and no TV makes Skully something something. Go crazy? Don't mind if I do. But anyway, just pretty much lose the tail, which, given your knowledge of the town, which, much like your knowledge of the land, should be great. And yeah, cut corners, make some decent jumps, and yeah, Wickham's AI isn't really too much to speak of. I mean, in terms of how AI performs in this game, yeah, Xbox version is technically the best from what I've seen. GameCube version I heard is okay, which, again, praise be to Krull Brisboy. And of course, PS2 version is apparently, not very bright. It's like Homer Simpson, if it were artificial intelligences. But you didn't hear that from me. So on that note, I am Solidus-Skully. I'm joining the Springfield Mafia. Catch you laters.
How about